video addresses a question I've been asked regarding the seller's exercise of what you refer to as the knockout clause under the contingency for sale of other property. An agent wrote an email to me that read, "Dawn, I hope you can settle this disagreement I'm having with another agent. The seller has his property under contract with a buyer who has a contingency to sell their current property. The seller now receives a second offer. My question, must the second offer be a backup contract? I say yes, because you cannot have two contracts to sell the same property. The other agent says no, it is not a backup contract." Well, as I answer this, I need to point out there are really two parts to this question. If seller of a piece of property under a contract that has the sale of other property contingency receives a second offer, the question is, does that offer need to be a contract? The answer is yes. In order to exercise the knockout provision of the contingency, the seller must, quote, accept a written offer to sell the property, unquote. In other words, there has to be a second contract before the seller has the right to require the buyer to act under the knockout clause. A second offer is not sufficient. Then the second part of this question requires an understanding that under the knockout clause, the buyer has the option to either waive the contingency or terminate the contract. This is buyer's option. Knowing that the buyer could opt to waive the contingency means this second contract needs to be written as a backup contract. If the seller accepts the second offer but does not make it a backup contract, what happens when the buyer under the original contract waives their contingency? The seller ends up with two contracts on the property. He can't sell his property twice. He puts himself in the position of having competing claims against his property and possible lawsuit to follow. Please pay close attention to the contingency provisions and understand what it requires to exercise your rights under these provisions. Please also make it a point to understand what those rights are. You owe a duty to your client to protect their rights and obligations. Thank you for sending me your ideas for video topics, and thank you for supporting Allegiance Title Company. Allegiance Title is your trusted resource for results. Thank you.